Now, it's time for the Anchormen podcast with Matt Gates and Dan Ball.
Welcome back to the Anchormen Show. I'm Matt Gates, host of the Matt Gates Show every night here on One America News, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 Pacific. And this is our platform where maybe we don't have to dwell on everything in the headlines. We can take a little time to talk about the state of the human experience. And I'm going to bring in our guest in just a moment. But I wanted to take a time to say how special these weeks have been here at One America News. Our ability to extend our viewership to the YouTube TV audience has been something that we've taken great pride in. We want to bring outstanding analysis and journalism to the tens of millions of people who consume One America News, and the best is indeed yet to come. More and more folks are going to be adding our channel, seeing our programs, and we think that is going to invigorate the discussion happening in this country as free speech finally gets vindicated. We went through so much censorship and so much divisiveness where people didn't even want to listen to each other. We think it's great that platforms from YouTube to Charter Spectrum to Dish to Sling say, hey, One America News, you've got a lot of information that could add value to our subscribers, and it's great to be a part of those outstanding communities. Now, today, we are going to have our very first pastor on the program. My man, JLP, Jesse Lee Peterson, has come to San Diego from LA, and we have so many fans of yours here in the building. I didn't realize this, but when folks found out that you were going to be here at the mothership at OAN, it had an electricity throughout the building for the whole day. And so maybe for those who aren't familiar with you, could you take a little time and talk about your fellowship and what you do for people and how you're bringing folks together?
Amazing. It is, I got to tell you, it's amazing to be here with you. I've respected you and admired you for a long time. And so I'm glad to be here. But what we're doing is for the last 35 years now, we have been rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. And what we're doing is bringing back the order of God. God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, woman over children. And in that order, it works, especially if the guys want to get married, have a family. And so we have been rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. And at the time, when I started out 35 years ago, it was pretty much geared toward black men because they were not in the home with their families, whereas when I was growing up, we had family. And I grew up in Alabama on a plantation down in Alabama. And my grandparents were raised there, their parents and their parents. And we had family. And things were amazing, really amazing, right? So we're trying to restore the family by restoring the man. It's open now to everyone around the world. Anyone can be a part of it because the principles that we talk about are principles from God, and they apply to all human beings, all mankind. And we have an entrepreneur program where we're teaching men how to start businesses, how to, if they already have a business, we show them how to enhance it. And a lot of these guys don't have good credit. So I started a credit union so that we can loan them the money. They pay back with small interest to keep their business going and the credit union going. We have men's forum every first Thursday night of the month. And then for ladies, the third Thursday night of the month. Excuse me. And then Sunday morning fellowship for all. And we tutor, we counsel, just doing the whole thing. And all we were really doing is just pointing people back to God, showing them how to overcome anger. Because if they don't overcome the anger, they would never know God. Because anger separates you from God. And so that's why God said in order to enter into the kingdom of heaven within and have perfect peace, you must go and forgive. So the primary thing is to encourage them to go and forgive their mothers for the mistakes she made with them, turning them away from their fathers, the boys and the girls. We're open up to men and women now, all people.
Well, that's a fascinating mission, and I have a lot I want to discuss about anger with you, and I may take a bit of a different perspective, but when you talk about rebuilding the family through the rebuilding of men,
right?
I want to get into why you think that's necessary. What happened where the American man needed rebuilding? When did we lose it?
when they were able to uh, turn the man away from his family, when they
Who's they?
Well, in the black community, it started with the so-called civil rights movement. The worst thing, other than abortion, the worst thing that ever happened to the blacks was the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement destroyed the family of black Americans by telling them that they needed leaders, because prior to the civil rights movement, blacks didn't have leaders. They thought for themselves. They did for themselves. They treated all people the way that they would like to be treated. We were taught that way.
Well, wait. In the 70s and 80s, we saw black entrepreneurship explode. We saw a lot of, black communities. I mean, I think about even in North Florida, places like Frenchtown, outside of Tallahassee,
Right.
where there was innovation, there was investment. And when you say the civil rights movement was this great scourge on the black community, I think some might observe that and say, well, at least the civil rights movement kind of presented this notion that it's people's immutable traits that we should not judge them by. We should judge people based on the choices they make, not the things they can't change about themselves.
Interesting. They said that, but that's not what they meant.
Okay.
Because at the same
But don't you think that's an enduring value? Now we're almost going the other way now.
Yeah, but if people were to live that way, it works. It's absolutely right. But the civil rights movement also told black people they couldn't make it because of the white man. They couldn't make it because they were being discriminated against. They could not make it because they were black. And so a lot of blacks fell for that. And they started to believe that somebody was holding them down and that they need leaders to guide them. They needed Martin Luther King Jr., they needed Jesse Jackson, they needed black leadership. And so they fell for that lie. And when they fell
Do you put Marcus Garvey in that category? Marcus Garvey?
I don't know a lot about him.
Yeah,
I know the name.
He had the league, man. Everybody wore those fancy outfits, and
Well, the point is, though, at that time, too, most blacks were Republicans, and they sold the blacks to the Democratic Party by telling them, we're going to give you welfare, we're going to take care of you. You don't need a man in the home. We're going to take care of you, but you got to become Democrat. You got to become this, and they destroyed the black family. The whole civil rights movement it's about socialism. It was not about making people free. It was about bringing them together as groups to control them. First, get them angry by telling them the white man holding them back, and then using them for personal gain. Jackson and all those guys wanted to be leaders, and they needed somebody to lead, so they brainwashed the blacks. And not all, but most. They brainwashed the blacks and put them in a group, caused them to think alike, and they got rid of the fathers.
So as part of your
downhill.
As part of your ministry then a reprogramming of what you view as the mistakes of the civil rights movement?
No, my thing is to get people to wake up and start thinking for themselves, to be an individual. And then when you become an individual, one with what's right, when you become whole instead of divided, you can deal with the world, anyone, perfectly. But you got to become a whole person, men and women. You must become a whole person, not a divided person. And so we're encouraging people to do that by dropping the anger.
You have just concluded Men's Month. And you tell my viewers what Men's Month was and what some of the best things to come out of it were.
Number one is that men got to become men again. And the way they become men is really to get to know themselves. They don't know themselves anymore. Unlike it was when I was growing up. They don't know themselves. So we encourage...
How'd you get to know yourself?
Because when I was growing up, I was taught to be an individual and to treat everybody the way I would like to be treated, but I was taught to work hard. As a matter of fact, growing up, I was taught from day one to work, to help around the house. At that time, we worked.
So being useful, making yourself useful,
and that's all I know.
And by the way,
do.
I think about a lot of these folks today who need a little bit of that.
Yes,
if they would just be a little less self-pitiful, and self-indulging and made themselves useful, it would help the mind, it would help the spirit, it would help the determination.
We were taught to be that way growing up.
Yeah.
I remember my grandmother used to always tell me, "Okay, we teach you go to work. We'll show you how to take care of yourself." And at 18, you're out of here. You leave it here at 18. And I'm like, "Well, where am I going?" I'm down in Alabama on a plantation. She's telling me I'm leaving. My grandfather too. Well, you got to go.
Well, now, but I want to get back to
what
men's.
happened at 18.
Yeah.
I turned 18. I finished high school, and I left home. Went to Indiana, got a job there, moved to California, and been here ever since. At 18, and I never looked back because I was made to be independent growing up. I knew how.
What do you think about these young men who are 26, 27 years old at home living with their parents? And by the way, they don't even want to get out.
They have been spoiled by their parents, and sometimes just the mother because their father's not there. They have not been taught to be independent thinkers and work and take care of themselves.
But see, I didn't think that was something you had to teach. I thought just like you don't really have to teach the bird to want to get out of the nest.
Right.
It's instinct that when the baby bird can flap its wings, it knows to leave the nest. And for me, it was just maybe it was the testosterone pumping through my blood. Maybe it was wanting to get my own life going. But I couldn't wait to get off to somewhere or something or someone. And I look at a lot of young men now who are like, look, my parents, they put a roof over my head. They pay my bills. Mom makes my favorite food, does my laundry. Dad kind of likes seeing me, so I'm going to stay here. And they don't have really a plan to depart.
That's the problem, though. If you're not that example, we had that example. Our parents were the example of that.
Well, my parents said you're just out of the house during the day. I mean, my parents growing up, in the 80s, it was like you come home when the street lights come on. That's when you need to be at the house. But until then, you need to be out running around on bikes, making friends.
That's not the case now.
Isn't that sad?
It is. It's pitiful. And that's why we have...
Could we ever get back to it, you think? Or do we just look at that with only nostalgia?
No, we'll never get back to that. God. Some men will, but it won't for the most part.
Because of community degradation.
Because it's too much anger, and they're not self-reliant. They don't know how to do it. And then they'll be spoiled now by government, everything.
Well, give me the good news of Men's Month. Tell me the good thing that happened.
So the Men's Month, we had men who were buying their own property because we encourage guys to buy homes. And ladies now too, but for the men, to get their own property, you should own a piece of land.
That goes back to the caveman.
Yeah.
I mean, cave came before man. I mean, if you wanted to attract the cave woman, I'm guessing you needed a cave where they were safe, secure, felt like they weren't going to be attacked by some sort of lion.
I don't even know how you live as a man and not buy a piece of property for yourself. You can't go wrong with buying a piece of property, even if you have to buy a small piece where you don't want to live, but you build it up and because there's so much you can do with land. You can refi and buy a new home, or you can move from one place to another one. You can rent it out. You can't go wrong with land. So we were taught that as well.
It's also how the baby boomer generation built most of its wealth.
Absolutely.
Was through land.
Absolutely.
So you're not suggesting some novel new idea. This is a tried and true successful strategy.
Nothing that I'm teaching is new. It's been around forever. I'm just telling them about something that's already been around.
Okay.
And remind them of. I bought my first house at 25 years old because I was told at 25 you should already have a job. And they didn't say you had to go to college. They said have a job and take care of yourself. And if you want to get married, get your house first and then get married, because a man should bring your wife into his home and not go into hers.
But you haven't been married.
And so, not married. I've been engaged twice, but
not the same thing.
No.
Having done both, been both married and engaged,
I have a son.
I do. I got a new little homie on the way.
I do too. I have a son.
That's great.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you. You as well, man. It's great to be able to pass on your genetics. It's a wonderful thing.
It is.
But now you've got the Men's Month you concluded, but I also understand you talked about this Women's Forum. So I want to hear the other side of the coin too. Maybe take my viewers. What happens at Women's Forum? Who leads it, and what is the message that women will get there in your fellowship?
And we also had a Sunday morning fellowship for all.
Every
Sunday morning. But in the fellowship with the ladies, We don't record anything. You're not allowed to video anything. You're not allowed to call each other up after the meeting. Oh, I didn't know this. Gossiping about it and stuff like that. But we deal
Gossiping is prohibited.
Right.
And you believe there's high compliance with your no gossiping policy.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Otherwise, they can't. If we ever find out they did, they cannot be a part of the meeting. Because those meetings.
So why is that important? Tell me why it's important.
Because a lot of people don't know how to handle gossiping. They're not ready for it yet. And so plus we want
who comes? Is it who teaches it, who leads it?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, so it's you?
I teach the men's forum and the ladies forum.
Okay, how many ladies come?
It's all various. We get anywhere between 20 and 30 or even more, depending on what's going on. Because
so it's you alone in a room with 20, 30 women, and afterwards no one's allowed to talk about it.
That's right.
All right. Well, I don't want you to break the rules, so I don't want to ask too many questions.
I wouldn't talk about what we say. I'm just saying we deal with.
Well, maybe tell me what it teaches you about women today. Because a lot of men don't have that experience being in a room with 20 women once a week. So you probably have learned some interesting things and got some real interesting insights about that.
They have the same issues that men have. They got to overcome the anger. They feel insecure. Because anyone that has anger don't have perfect peace. And when you don't have perfect peace, you feel insecure, you feel shy, you worry, you have doubt, you have fear, you have anxiety, you don't really, you live in your imagination.
Wait a second.
We all know that all thoughts are all lies all the time, right?
Everything you just said, I have.
You do?
I just thought that was the human existence.
No.
A little bit of anxiety, a little bit of fear, a little bit of worry, a little bit of concern. That sounds like a Tuesday for me.
That's torture.
Really?
That's hell.
Well, see, all right, let me push back on this for you,
And you're not created to have that.
All right, well, I sometimes worry that there are even more people out there on the planet Earth deserving of my anger and my wrath than I am able to deploy. See, I find anger to be an intense motivator.
No.
Sometimes when I sense injustice, it makes me very angry, and it can focus and sharpen my mind. Sometimes my mind can wander like any person to this thing or that thing, but when I'm truly angry, when I'm aggrieved by something, when I say this is wrong, this is supposed to be dealt with, that is when I feel like I can achieve a level of proficiency that in the absence of anger, I might not be able to tap into.
No, you're wrong. An angry person is an insecure person. An angry person has fear. An angry person is not a free person. They're enslaved.
Oh, I agree with that. The last part I agree with because the anger can capture you, but sometimes that capture can be productive. Do you not get angry when you see injustice?
No, not at all.
You don't?
I deal with it, but I don't get angry.
You wouldn't be angry if you were out there watching some man run around in women's sports and defeating like some young woman you cared about. That wouldn't anger you?
Not at all.
If you saw somebody hurting somebody else, that wouldn't anger you?
No.
See, that angers me.
But it shouldn't. Okay,
well, tell me. I'll give you the floor.
Because what you don't know, if you have anger, that you can deal with issues perfectly without the anger. Anyone that has anger is being controlled because they can make you feel good and they can make you feel bad.
Yeah.
If they want to control you, they say nice things about you. Oh, you're so wonderful. You're so smart. And now you're feeling good. And then they want, if that doesn't work, they'll say bad things about you. Now you're mad. They have control over you. An angry person is controlled. And an angry person is insecure, and they live in their imagination, and they do not have perfect peace.
Well, what if you have an ability with your senses to be able to, disclaim certain criticisms, to be able to silo certain emotions, but what if people channel anger to productive uses? You just do not believe that. You believe that ultimately someone who channels anger succumbs to it.
And a person that channels anger is an evil person, because what you got and cannot be trusted. Even God said that an angry person is an evil person, is a murderer, and you cannot trust an angry person. That's why
there's not righteous anger?
No.
You do not believe in the category of righteous anger.
There is righteous anger, but it's not emotional at all. It's not. It's perfect love. is being able to see injustice and deal with injustice without judging it, without being mad about it, and you would deal with it perfectly.
But see, I would, like, in my last job when I was in Congress, right? I'd see people sell out. Straight sell out,
Yeah.
Bribe of one form or another.
Yes.
And bribes take all these different forms, but I've seen almost all of them.
Right.
And I would get so angry at those people. And I would feel like my obligation was to ensure that the payoff they received did not result in something worse for the people. and I felt the anger of a lot of the people I represented. Look, I got elected in the Tea Party wave of 2010 to the state legislature. There were a lot of people angry. There were a lot of people really angry. And then after COVID, people were angry. And I believe that anger was righteous, and I believe it was justified, and I believe that it deserved a voice in representative government. There are a lot of angry people. Why don't they deserve a voice?
Angry persons on the ego trip, and an angry person is all about self.
Why? Why can't you be angry on behalf of somebody else's plight?
That doesn't make sense. How can you do that?
Oh, if I saw somebody, hurting a loved one of mine, if I saw someone trying to abuse my constituents, I would get angry on their behalf.
But you deal with issues better by not being angry than you do when you're angry.
Well, that could be true.
Yeah, it is true. And just think about this.
Okay.
Just think about this and smoke on this one. We don't really smoke. But an angry person is separated from God. And an angry person cannot know God. It doesn't matter if you go to church, read the Bible, confess Jesus, or anything. An angry person cannot know God. You cannot enter into the kingdom of heaven within, or above.
What about wrath?
Drop the anger.
Do you believe that wrath can be expressed separate from anger? Because God has expressed plenty of wrath.
But God does not do that now. He only did it then because the people were of evil. There was no way out. And so he wasn't expressing wrath upon the people. He was doing it upon evil. But the people didn't know that he was dealing with evil inside of them. You got to realize that all human beings are evil. There's nothing good in human nature, right? And that's why
nothing.
You couldn't find anything good in human nature if you cut them over and look inside.
How do you explain why people become hospice nurses?
What?
How do you explain why people become, neonatal intensive care nurses? I mean, there are certain things that people do with their lives that are good. You think the thrill of watching somebody die?
They feel good by doing that. They feel like they love someone. They feel like they're important. It's all for the thrill. It's never about the person dying. It's always about the person that think that they're helping the person that's dying. Angry people are selfish people. It's always about self, and they can't help it. That's why you must be born again of the Father, and you're not going to be born again until you can admit that you're angry and that you're evil. All angry people are evil people.
I agree that there is evil as a part of human nature. There's an evil that's just a part of nature, even without the humans in it.
I know, but it's not going to change until they drop. Admit, God said that in order to be born again, we must admit that we're wrong.
Yes.
And what he's saying is that you must admit that you're angry, that you're evil. And when you can admit that you're evil, he'll take it away from you. But the hardest thing for the human beings and human nature to do is to admit that they're evil. You got to confess. It's not about the vices that you're supposed to be confessing. It's about your heart. Salvation is of the heart. And human nature hearts are wicked until they can see that and admit it. Then the heart will be changed from anger to perfect love. And you will have perfect peace right here on earth, and you will deal with life in a perfect way. There will be nobody or nothing that can hurt you because now you're whole. You're one with what's right. You're one with the Father. Right. But that's not going to change until you drop the anger.
Yeah, I don't know. I go to it a lot. It's a club. It's a club I have in the bag,
but life would be much better for you, and you would do amazing things if you drop the anger. Why don't you drop it?
What if I turn into a wuss? What if I turn into like one of these like low energy
angry
guys?
People are wuss.
No, listen. I think that there is
wuss is a person that's not angry, Because think about this. If you don't have anger, you don't have fear inside. You don't have fear. You don't have doubt. You don't have anxiety. You don't have stress. You don't worry. You're just living your life and dealing with evil in a perfect way. And you don't judge. You don't hold anything against anyone. You're free. And you deal with it. You see injustice and you deal with it perfectly.
That sounds utopian. It is different in my experience.
That's why Christ came, that we may have perfect peace, not that we may be emotional.
Yeah. I guess emotion does consume a good amount of the human experience. So if people want to work on themselves, this was something we were talking about with one of your parishioners who I know well, is a friend of mine, and she was explaining that when you work, that she has taken from your ministry, that you have to work on your entire self all at once. That if you pick and choose different things you work on at different times, then you're always playing catch up, and you can't really achieve this type of peace you describe. Maybe illuminate on that and help us understand why that's your thinking.
The one thing I want you to know for sure, your audience, that all thoughts are all lies all the time about anything. And angry human being, and we all are born into that because we're born into screwed up families, right? So we're born into it. We come into the world innocent children, right? But then because our parents are screwed up, at some point we become angry. We become like what we hate. We become like our parents. And so we repeat the cycle over and over from generation to generation until someone finally changes.
But don't we pick up some of the good from our parents too?
No,
I don't believe that. I believe that I hope to aspire to
good.
No,
unless they have worked on themselves and overcome. So let me ask you.
Sure.
Who are you?
I'm so excited when we get our Merriweather Farm shipments in. You get a beautiful piece of ribeye. Look at that marbling. Now, I take it out of the package, let it get down to room temperature. All I've got on here is a little salt, a little pepper, and then a little avocado oil. And then I've had my pan preheating with a little oil.
Head to merriweatherfarms.com and enter promo code MattG for 15% off your first order.
I'm Matt Gates. I'm a husband to my wife. I'm a father to my son. I'm a son to my parents. I try to be a good community member in any community I'm a part of. I try to be a good coworker, and I try to use whatever skills that I have or that God has graciously bestowed on me for a valuable purpose and to be useful.
So you told me your name and what you do and what you have, but who are you?
Well, I identify through my family. My family.
No,
that's the core of my answer, is who I am relative to those who I care about most.
And so, but who are you? Not what you do, what you own, who you belong to.
I didn't tell you anything I own. I don't
you
know
said
that
your
much.
Family, right?
Well, yeah, I don't own them. They're just they're my loved ones.
But you didn't tell me who you are.
Okay.
You told me your name, right?
Well,
you told me what you do, what you have, but who are you?
Yeah, I guess my identity derives from, the people I'm around who I care about.
So you are your environment?
In a lot of ways, I think, particularly as it relates to my human interactions and my human relations.
I want to promise you, you're not your environment. You're not your name. You're not your thoughts. You're not your emotions. You're not what you have or don't have. You're not your color. You're none of those things. All of those things are false identities. And that's what angry people do. They identify with a false self, and they think that that's who they are, and that's not who they are. And that's why they never get perfect peace, because they have all these identities or ideas of who they think they are, and they have to work hard. And not just you, but anyone that does it, and all people do until they start to overcome. They have to work hard to try to hold on to those identities, those false selves, and they never find peace.
So you find the peace by working on the whole self?
Yes.
This is the theory?
Absolutely.
And how do you do that?
You got to realize, I don't know who I am. I am angry. I do have fear. I do have doubt. I got to find out why I'm like that. And then you start looking from within. God said to know yourself, right? And most people never look within to get to know themselves. They live outer and not from within. The kingdom of heaven, perfect peace, is inside of us right here. And we don't have to wait until we die to have perfect peace. And so once you get to see that you are angry and that you're very judgmental and there's no peace in that, then you go and forgive. And you know who you forgive first? Do you want to know?
Is it yourself or your parents?
Your parents.
Your parents.
And especially your mother.
Well, I
All mothers create boys and girls in their image. They turn the children away from the fathers by playing victim, or sometimes telling the children how bad the father was, and when the father's not around, they say little things that make the children think the father's no good.
Why do you think they do that?
Because
That hasn't been my experience, but I'm curious why you think they've done that.
it is your experience, but you just don't know it. But by the time we finish, you'll know.
Okay, but tell me
just
why.
don't
Tell
realize.
me why. Is it nature? Is it this evil you speak of?
Yeah. The reason it's that way because the spirit of the woman is evil. And it's not her, but remember...
All women?
All women. All.
The spirit of all women is evil. That's your contention.
No, I didn't make it up. I'm just telling you the reality of it.
Well, what is your basis for that? That's an astonishing claim.
But it's true, right? And it's not her fault.
No, I don't agree at all. I know women who are lovely and wonderful, and I would never categorize as evil.
Well, let me tell you why. You remember, long story short, remember the guy Adam?
Yeah.
And he had a wife named Eve?
Yes.
And so, and in those times, Adam had a relationship with his father God, right? Mm-hmm. And he and the father were one. And they communicated without words. And then God gave Adam a wife by the name of Eve. And Eve loved her husband, who loved his father, and they were perfect peace. And so one day, long story short, one day Eve went over to the market to get some food for groceries. And it all depended on what color
Who was running the market?
I'm sorry?
Who was operating the market?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a chicken or the egg situation.
She went to the garden.
The garden, okay.
The fruit.
Got it.
The
I was
garden.
just wondering.
And so she was shopping, and then along came a guy called Satan, evil. And he said, "Oh, hello, Eve. How you doing? Fine. How you? All right." He's like, "How you and Adam doing?" "Well, we're fine. We love each other. All is well." So he had already approached Adam years prior to that, but Adam didn't listen to him. And so Eve went back home, and Adam sitting at the table having dinner. She's like, "Oh, I saw Satan today. He asked about you." And Adam said, long story short, stay away from Satan. That's your enemy. He's evil. Do not listen to him. Don't do it. And she said, "Oh, okay." And so long story short, she went back to the market another day.
Garden.
Went to the garden, yeah, and to get some food for dinner. And she saw Satan again. And he like, "Are you still with Adam?" "Yeah, we're doing fine." She said, why you listen to that man? He listened to his father. He's weak. Why don't you be your own woman? Don't listen to him. And Eve was like, no, I love my husband. All is well. He's like, but he's weak. He listens to the father. Be your own woman. You can take your bra off. You can be free. You can have abortion. You can do whatever you want. Just like Adam, you can be free. Be your own person, right? And Eve believed it this time. And the moment she believed the lie from the serpent, she could no longer believe her husband. It separated them. She could no longer believe him. And so she went back home and the fight started because now she thinks she's God. She thinks she knows the difference between good and evil, and she thinks she's as good or better than Adam. So she didn't need a man. And then Adam's like, what the? And then a couple times she went back and she eventually convinced Adam. She's like, Adam, look at me. I'm a free woman. I'm doing my own thing. I can have abortion. I can go to work. I can do whatever I want now. I know the difference between good and evil. Why don't you be free? Don't let your father control you. Why you listen to him? You can be your own man. And at first, Adam tried to reject her, right? But then he believed her. And the moment he believed the woman became his God. And the moment the woman believed the serpent became her God.
But the serpent loses in the end.
And so what happened is the serpent became the woman's God, and the woman became the man's God. And that's why men don't know what to do with women now. They don't know how to handle them because they have become like their mothers. You become like what you hate, right? What you're angry at. And so they have the same mindset and emotion as the woman has. And so because you become like what you have, men become like their mother. They think like a woman. They get emotional like a woman. They feel the emotion of a woman. And they think that's normal, not knowing that is the fallen nature, the abnormal nature. And the woman become like her mother. She's not herself. And because now she think like her mother, she get mad like her mother, she had like impatient like her mother, and she treat her family, if she has one, children, the same way her mother treated their family, right? And then, but what happened was, and so that's how that happened. The woman became the man's God, and the serpent became the woman's God. That's that nature. It's not them, but it's the nature of the serpent. So Christ came and he changed all that. He made that sacrifice. And when he made that sacrifice, he set men and women free from the serpent. But they got to admit that they still had an angry nature and forgive so God can forgive them and everything will be changed. Their nature will be changed from the evil nature to the nature of God.
It is quite the retelling of Genesis that we got there. You said in your intro, you saw it as God over man, man over woman, women over children.
Right. If they're married.
Do you believe that structure is biblical? Is that where you derive that belief?
Well, it is if you're married, but if the woman is not married, let's say a lady is not married.
By the way, you've never been married. So you speak about marriage in the abstract as an observer of marriage,
right?
Not as someone who's participated in the institution. But that man
Christ wasn't married either.
No,
he talked about marriage.
Well, listen, I don't know that we all would compare ourselves to Christ. I certainly would.
Why not?
Well, the whole divine nature of Christ would be something I wouldn't compare.
That same nature that's in Christ is in you.
Well, he certainly walked the earth, but as the Son of God, Christ lived a more perfect life than man, right? There's holiness to it.
But all children who return to the Father, and that's what salvation is all about. It's about a return to the Father. And so anyone that returns to the Father is become the son, or in the woman's case, the woman become the daughter of God. And so the same nature that lived in Christ lives in you. That's why Christ said that whatever I own, you own it too. You are my brother. And he said that greater works that I've done that you shall do because of the Father in you. So the same nature that Christ has, you have it too. But until you drop that anger, you won't know that.
Yeah,
what do you think about that?
But again, I find anger to be a very driving and focusing and productive emotion when correctly channeled. I don't feel captured by anger. All the things you say about it being reflective of evil, I actually think that it can be used to combat evil. And there
how you
also
fight fire with fire. How you going to fight evil with evil?
Well, I don't know that anger is inherently evil. I actually don't think it is. I think that it at times can be someone's reaction to a malady. And I think it's okay to be angry at a malady. I think that if you allow that anger to consume you and to, like, as you say, drive you away from God, drive you away from your family, that's probably a bad thing. But if you see something is wrong and you want to fix it, and you can draw from anger in order to fuel your endeavors, I don't see that as like an impermissible way to obtain drive.
But you can't fix what is wrong.
Well, I mean, I think that there are certainly things that are wrong that we can fix.
Like what?
Well, I think that in my old job, if there was a piece of legislation that bent to special interests because their lobbyists had bought certain people off, and you could take those poison pills and get them removed, and people would get a better product as a result, that was a worthy exercise.
But if you're right, you can do that, but that's not going to fix what's wrong because it's not going to change the heart of the people.
Well, sure,
people
but
will
I mean,
still be evil.
That becomes reductive to the point of nihilist. If you say, well, I can't fix all the things that ail humanity, so why even work toward modest improvements?
No, you should. I mean, God giving you the ability to fix those practical things that you can do, that come from God too. But you can't fix another person. You can't even fix yourself. That's why you have to admit that you're wrong.
Oh yeah, I don't think we can fix other people. By the way, that people try that all the time, and I think that people do change. I don't accept that. Oh, like the way you meet someone is the way they'll always be. I think people can grow together and change together.
You're right; they get worse.
I think you can draw inspiration from others in your life, not just romantic partners, but from work colleagues, from neighbors and friends. You can see how other people do things better than you, and you can mirror that, and you can aspire to it, and maybe there are things that you do that other people can aspire to.
But see, it sounds like you're referring to the practical, physical thing. I'm talking about the heart of the human nature. You cannot, because you're right, you can build a nice home, and you can put people in a home, but unless you change the heart of the person, nothing has really changed. You may be living in a better place. You may be having strong laws and all that. But until you change the hearts of the person, they have not changed.
Yeah, I think that, in the world where I live,
to work on whole self.
Yeah, where you worked on, policy reforms, they were discrete to a particular matter.
All right.
The notion of changing all of human existence, a little more challenging. But I do want to get your take on something that's going on right now. There is this effort by Trump to save America's cities. And I really wanted to get your perspective on this because we're seeing a number of voices out there in the information space say it's totalitarian and others say it's rejuvenating. I am hopeful that people who've been tormented will be tormented less. But as you see this happening, what are your observations?
I have to tell you, and I call Donald Trump the Great White Hope. Did you know that?
Yes, I did know that.
Some people call him king. Some people call him daddy. I call him the Great White Hope. What he's doing for America, we should be very thankful. I've never seen one person turn a country doing what he said he was going to do, by the way, what we asked him to do. We hired him to do this, to clean up crime, shut down the borders, do something about these inner cities where there's been violent black-on-black crime and other crime for years. This is nothing new. And for Donald Trump to love the country enough to go in and do something like that is amazing. Because one thing for sure, the mayors and governors of these cities cannot care at all. They want you angry. They want you killing one another. They want you stressful so they can come in to say, I'll save you from this. I'll give you a program, or I'll give you this or that. And then they'll blame it on racism and all that mess, which doesn't exist, by the way. Racism is another made-up word. No such thing as racism. Never has existed, never will exist. Impossible. It's just a made-up word.
What word do you use to describe when people make judgments about each other based on their skin color?
Evil, angry, evil people judging one another. That's why you got to overcome the anger so you can stop judging. And understanding, which only comes from God, will give you understanding of what's going on, and you would not judge. You deal with it, but you won't judge the person because you realize what's driving them. They can't help it. So that word race.
Wow. Wait. You think that when you observe evil, you can divorce people from their actions by just saying, well, all of humanity is evil and they can help themselves? That seems to give people almost a cop-out.
That's not it.
Okay.
Once you observe what's going on, because you understand what's been driving you until you overcome, right? You're going to understand what others are that it's a spiritual issue. Our battle is a spiritual issue. It's a warfare between good and evil. Has nothing to do with color, has nothing to do with male or female. It's spiritual. It's right versus wrong. And anyone that has anger, as I said, is evil. And they're going to hate anyone that is of good. And the battle starts. And then evil people fight against each other as well because they're on an ego trip. That's what the ego nature is all about. But what Donald Trump is doing by giving the people a break, bringing in the National Guards and getting rid of these criminals, locking them up, and making sure, hopefully, bring back bail bond, and punish these people for what they're doing instead of making up excuses for it. The so-called leaders don't want them punished. They want them killing each other because they get money and power from that. False sense of power is not real power, but they get money and power.
I thought it was
they don't want it right.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that in D.C., Mayor Bowser did not take the most resistant position possible against Trump.
Yeah.
She didn't react the way Pritzker and Johnson are reacting in Chicago. I think she kind of looked at the situation and said, if they could come in here and make it better, she wasn't going to be the reason that they didn't.
Yeah.
And I judge her favorably for that choice. I think that was
surprised by that. I was happy to be surprised by that.
Yeah, but so you got, let's just chart, like if you had this out on a graph and you had Mayor Bowser as like the premier example of a Democrat mayor who didn't go full obstructionist. And on the other side, you got Mayor Johnson in Chicago where it looks like they're going to go full obstructionist. Where do you think most of like America's mayors are gonna fall? Do you think they'll go more the Bowser route or more the Johnson route?
It's all depending on how radical they are and how desperate they are for power and wealth. And Johnson in Chicago is desperate for power and wealth. He doesn't care about.
How can you tell?
Because look what he's doing to keep Trump out. He knows that crime is out of control. I have family members in Chicago. I know Chicago. And crime has been that way for a long time. And it's just getting worse. And especially with the blacks are little children are doing it now. And this man knows that. And he knows that nothing's being done about it. He's pure evil. He doesn't care. It's about himself. Whereas this lady in D.C.
But see, that angers me. Like when I hear you say that, and I hear that this man allows these children to die in his city because he wants more power and he wants more wealth. Like it goes back to our prior discussion. Like it bubbles up in me like that. That doesn't sit well with me. That is upsetting to me.
And why? What good is it doing you to get upset about it?
Well, I might rant and rave about it on my program that tens of thousands of people listen to, and they might get mad about it and change it and demand better of their government officials.
But if the people were to change, the government would change. The people get the government that they vote for.
That is true.
Yeah. The people change it and put in a different government.
I think that's why
blacks been voting for black people forever. Since the civil rights movement, because they're black, not because they're qualified, but because they're black. Who vote for somebody because of their color? That doesn't even make sense, right? But they've been made to believe the white man is the enemy, and somehow or another the black man going to save you, and it's just not true. The black people are using blacks for personal gain, and that's why they look at this wicked woman from where is she from? What's her last name? Jasmine Crockett.
Yes.
Crockett.
She's from Bama?
Somewhere. But that woman, all she ever cried, racism.
Texas. She's from Texas.
Oh, yeah, she is.
Yeah.
All she ever talked about is racism.
Yeah.
Here she is, a so-called congressman. She's not telling the black, hey, I worked hard. If she did. I worked hard, I did it, you can do it too. Here's how you do it. She's not telling them that. She's telling them they can't make it because of the white man. They can't make it because that's evil. Why don't you tell them how you did it? Because she's black, how did she get around the white man? You know what I mean? Or white people. She is evil, and she doesn't want the blacks to.
With her, it's just an act. It's not. She doesn't even believe the things she's saying.
I know she doesn't believe it, but it helped keep her in power.
Like at least AOC and Ilhan Omar, they at least believe the stuff they're saying.
They don't believe it either.
Oh no, they're nuts. They're out there. Crockett.
They're crazy. I'm not saying they're not crazy. I'm not saying that they're evil, but they don't believe it because look, they how did they get to where they're going? There's this woman, Elian Omar.
Yeah, I know her.
This woman was a refugee.
Yeah.
That we brought into this country.
Yeah.
And instead of saying, thank you, America, she's against America. And she's not trying to encourage other blacks and other, hey, I'm a refugee. I'm a congressman now. You can do the same thing. Here's how I did it.
Do you think most refugees in the country identify with gratitude for being here or resentment on what they think they're owed?
No.
Or do you think it's any of that?
They don't appreciate America at all. They're not grateful. They feel entitled. They feel like we owe them something, and if we don't owe them and we don't give it to them, we're racist. And that injustice and all. They don't have any gratitude. How can you have gratitude and follow Elian Omar or Rashid Tlaib, whatever her name is, another psycho, when I become president, and I'm not going to allow foreigners to be run for government, to be a part of our government decision.
Even if they naturalized?
Even if they naturalized.
Okay.
Because they still have the mentality that they have from the place that they left. They come here, they create the same environment they left. They're supposed to be running away from socialism. They come here, they create socialism. What sense does that make?
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And by the way,
because they are angry.
Honestly, that's what got a lot of Hispanics going to the right.
Yeah.
Because they saw that the socialism was what their parents or grandparents were running away from. And when everybody in the Democratic Party started talking about socialism, a lot of those Hispanics that had voted for Obama were saying, okay, well, we're not here for the socialism.
They don't want that mess.
Are you running for president, Jordan Lee Peterson?
No.
Not yet, huh?
What did you say about George Peterson?
No, Jesse Lee Peterson. Sorry, you're not running for president. You just said a second ago when you're president. So are you going to run or are you going to? No. All right.
If I were to run.
If you were to run.
But I'm gonna wait for you to run, then I'll run after you. I'll be your running mate.
We would chop it up pretty good, wouldn't we?
Bring it home.
We'll leave that as our kicker for the episode.
So
Jesse Lee Peterson.
First, because of time.
What's that?
Let me ask you this because of time. Do you create your own thoughts?
I don't know. I think I have some of my own thoughts, but I think also I have thoughts based on the stimuli that are around me.
And do you create your own thoughts?
Probably some of them, but probably not all of them.
Where do thoughts come from?
The brain.
How does the brain create thoughts?
Man, if I knew that, I wouldn't be a talk show host. I'd be a neurologist.
You don't create your own thought. No human being has ever created him or her own thought. Your thoughts are not your own. That's why you got to overcome them by stop identifying with them, and then everything would change for the good.
You don't identify with thoughts?
No. There's a way.
But if you didn't identify with thoughts, would you be limited to just identifying with emotions?
No, you
can't identify with anger, so it's becoming pretty dissociative.
When you overcome the thoughts, you will overcome the emotions as well, because you can't have the emotion unless you have the thought first.
Thoughts and emotions are kind of why I walk around the planet Earth. If I didn't have any of those, it would feel unhuman.
No, it would
feel droid-like.
You would be free, and you would have perfect peace.
I would be free, thoughtless, emotionless, unangry, and detached.
And you will have perfect peace. I promise you.
Sounds terrible.
I'm not just saying that because I know it sounds, because it feels like to give up a life, which is the false life, the thoughts and the feelings. You think you're giving up you. But you're not. You're giving up the false you. Christ said that in order to have a life, we got to give up a life. And the life that we have to give up is the false life, the ego life. You're not your thought, you're not your feeling, you're not your emotion, all that crap. You don't create your own thought. We never have created our own thought. We can't do it. All thoughts come from evil, but then to know God and have perfect peace, there's a knowing the truth without even thinking about the truth. And so you don't create your own thought.
Well, I have plenty of thoughts about that, but unfortunately I'm out of time. Right. But I appreciate the thought-provoking discussion, even if they aren't our own. Jesse Lee Peterson, you have a tremendous following in this building, and throughout Southern California. We are aware of lives that you have changed in your fellowship. And if hearing this message is helpful to folks, where can they follow you, learn more about you, and connect with the great folks that you're working with?
They can go to rebuilding the family by rebuildingtheman.com. Is that right, Nick? rebuildingtheman.com or jesseliepeterson.com.
Rebuildingtheman.com, also available for women.
Yes. It's
all right.
We work with all now.
All right.
All races around the world. I counsel with men.
Only two
women.
genders, though.
That's right.
Okay.
Only two.
All races, but two genders.
Everything else is an illusion.
Rebuildingtheman.com.
Or jesseliepeterson.com.
All right.
Yeah.
A man of two websites. Thank you so much for being here. We wish you safe travels and hope we can continue the conversation soon. And if I know you have a podcast a lot of folks listen to,
right.
And if you ever have a really good guest that cancels and you need an extra one, I would love to continue the discussion there.
Absolutely. I can't wait.
Unless you've been living under a rock, you've been hearing me talk about All Family Pharmacy. But let me ask, have you actually gone to their website and looked around? Because this is not your typical pharmacy. These people are doing things the right way. They make it easy to stock your medicine cabinet with essentials like antibiotics, Tamiflu, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, or even get a full year supply of your daily maintenance medications. They've even added some amazing biohacking products like NAD+, methylene blue, stuff you're not going to find at your local big chain pharmacy. All Family Pharmacy works with doctors to write prescriptions and make sure that your meds get shipped to your door. It's what you need. It's when you need it. It takes a couple of days. And look, flu season is around the corner, so now is the time to prepare, not when you're already sick and out of options. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Matt. Take a couple of minutes and see what they have. Use code MATT10 to save an extra 10% on your order. If you're serious about being prepared, this is the pharmacy for you. Check it out, allfamilypharmacy.com/Matt. Tell them I sent you.
Want to see more great videos like this? Click on the link below to subscribe to OAN Live and watch Dan Ball's Real America and The Matt Gaetz Show on Dish Channel 212. Tune in, subscribe, and watch today.